could get even more ugly. The Harry Kane situation being played out over the last 24 hours or so. You heard from some big names across the talkSPORT network. Harry Redknapp in the middle there, surprised, of course. Darren Bent saying Harry Kane's repaid already the Spurs fans in terms of his legacy, what the club have done for him. I mean, look, as I said a little bit earlier on, very quickly, Danny, before we get to the calls, by the way, Hugh Wizencroft and Danny Mills with you on kickoff this evening. I think they're all dealing with their own prerogative, the two clubs and Harry Kane. Harry Kane's power in this, the only power he has in this, is to try and force a move. There are very few things that he can do. As Sean Custis said on that clip, he could put in a transfer request. He could do what he's currently doing,
but even if he puts in a transfer request, they can say no.
I understand. Give me 1 second. So he's doing everything in his power to force a move, which is what he wants. Daniel Levy wants the highest possible fee he can get, so he's holding out, and he's probably told Harry Kane that he can't go anywhere, and that's probably the biggest part of the disagreement. Of course, Manchester City don't want to pay as much as what Tottenham want, so that's their prerogative. They don't want to spend 160 million if they don't have to. Everyone is looking after number one. I don't blame anyone in that situation necessarily for doing that. Everyone's looking after their own interests. And if I was in all of their positions, I might be doing the same thing now.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
No different from when I left Charlton to go to Leeds. The fees are completely different, but I had to go to Richard Murray. You know, I think Leeds had offered like 2.5 million at the time, which was, you know, ridiculous. I'd signed for 250 grand the season before, 10 times the profit. And I said, well, look, hypothetically, what would happen if I said I don't want to play for the club next season? He said, well, if we get 4 million, you can go. And over the next sort of week or so, the fee went up. They got the 4.5 million and I left. It was... That's what happens, at that stage. But it was all dependent on Charlton accepting the fee.
What if they got 3.5 million and said, you're not going anywhere?
Well,
would you have been annoyed?
Yeah, but I'd have had no choice.
Okay.
I'd signed that contract. When you signed a contract, it's binding.
Well, I've got to say, it sounded like you had a gentleman's agreement in there, didn't you?
No, it's not. No.
4 million quid sounded like a gentleman's agreement to me. You went and spoke to him, he said 4 million.
Yeah, but this was in the space of a week. So, Harry Kane, if Daniel Levy says to Harry Kane, if we get 160 million, you can go, then he gets up. But if they don't get that, you stay in. Simple as that. And that's what it comes down to.
Sounds suspiciously like a gentleman's agreement. Anyway, if you want to get involved...
That's within the space. That's in negotiations.
It's always about, isn't it, Danny?
No, that's within negotiations. That's not 3 years earlier, is it? Because things change. You have to remember, as a player, if Harry Kane doesn't play for the next 3 years, he still gets paid every single week. That does not change in any way, shape or form. Tottenham still have to pay that money. And Harry Kane's not going to give it back, is he?
I want to get to my views on this contract with Harry Kane in a bit, but your calls on 08717 223344 are next. Simon is a Spurs fan. The question this hour, has Harry Kane tarnished his legacy? Simon, good evening. What do you think?
Hi, I think he has tarnished his legacy. Danny has actually said quite a bit of what I was going to say, and I just wanted to add to it really that he mentioned that his PR team have been quite naive. He's paying the price for making his brother his agent. It was his agent, I think. It was his agent for the 6-year contract. And like you say, a gentleman's agreement isn't really worth anything. It should have been a clause in there that there was a release clause, or if Spurs didn't qualify for Europe, he could leave, or something like that, if the right fee was made. And the other point I want to make is that, Spurs fans accept that he may want to win trophies and move on. That's fine, but if it's just about winning trophies, why does his salary need to be doubled? It's been talked about 400,000 a week. He's already on over 200,000. So
pittance for a player of his quality. Just so we're clear, that's probably about half as much as he could be earning and probably should have been earning years ago. He signed this deal, 200k a week, 6 months after Alexis Sanchez got 391k a week at Manchester United.
But that always happens.
And after he scored, 30 goals that year, he could have left the club then and he would have been getting twice as much money as he's been getting for the past 3 years in his bank balance already. But I know that's his own decision.
It's also his agent being rubbish. Because you say, look, if I score 30 goals, I want a new contract. I want 100 grand a week.
I agree.
I think, and this is my genuine held belief, that the reason he signed a 6-year deal for £200,000 a week is the same reason Lionel Messi has just signed a 5-year deal at Barcelona for half as much as what he was on before. He didn't want to destroy the wage structure at Tottenham Hotspur. Daniel Levy didn't want him to destroy the wage structure, so he was paid vastly less than he could have got elsewhere. And I think he saved Daniel Levy already tens of, if not hundreds of millions of pounds,
But that
on other players' contracts who all would have got more if Harry Kane had doubled his salary at the time, which he should have.
Well, that's stupid from Harry Kane.
Why? He's helped the club. He's helped Daniel Levy out, that's for sure.
And now he's complaining about it.
No, he's not. He's not complaining about his salary.
Because he wants to leave.
No, but he's complaining.
He's not turned up for training.
He wants to leave because they cannot get close to the quality of the player in terms of winning trophies. He's good enough to win everything there is. He's good enough to win everything there is to win.
You sign a 6-year contract. You sign a 6-year contract. You have to be prepared to stay for that contract. If you're on a free contract and you want to run that down and you want to take the issues that you might get injured, you might go out of form in that time, like Sol Campbell did, that's entirely up to you.
And
that's a completely different scenario.
What would the Spurs fans have said about him then?
Doesn't matter. It's your own decision. You don't have to be dictated to by the fans. You're your own person. Harry Kane decides what he wants to do. The contract he signed is poor. There weren't enough clauses put in it to protect his future.
Simon, I want to ask you, is there any way back for Harry Kane? Imagine he's on strike for the next 2 weeks, say, because he could be fined a maximum of 2 weeks' wages, doesn't come back until he starts effectively, really striking, because, of course, he could probably take 2 weeks off at this point. Would you have him back? Would you want him back in the team?
You'd always want him back in your team, but I just, like Danny said, I just think his contract, he's paying the price. You made the point about the goals that he scored and where he was at when he signed that contract. Maybe that's the time to go and get an agent that puts you on a par with the sort of players that he wants to be compared to. But to let his brother be his agent and negotiate what was probably at the most important time of his career, I think he's made a big mistake, and now he's paying for it. And if they don't get the right offer, Daniel Levy might make him stay. Who knows? But the Spurs fans will always take him back. But I do think the way he's gone about it, if he just handed in a written request, then
you would have been happier with that, would you?
Well, I think people were expecting it. I don't think they were expecting not to turn up for training, especially when you're England captain.
Simon, Spurs fan, thank you for giving us a call on kickoff this evening. Understand what you're saying. Would have him back in the team, though. I know some Spurs fans would be happy to see him sold tomorrow, including this first message here. I'm a lifelong Spurs fan. Kane has gone down the wrong road. Sell him tomorrow. Let us know what you think. 81089. You can tweet us at talkSPORT KO.
Kickoff with Hugh Wozencroft. Tuesday to Thursday night, 7 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.